Fear is a powerful force that can either propel you forward or hold you back. And the truth is, most people allow their fears to hold them back. Some are aware of these fears and some aren't. Change is inevitable, but to grow or to stay the same is a choice. In order to grow, you must step outside of your comfort zone, and there really is no getting around that. But in this video, I really seek to shed light on the decision that you do have in regards to overcoming your fears by acknowledging them for what they are, feeling no shame in having these fears, so you can finally conquer them and strive towards living the life that you know that you want to live. It's a natural human instinct to resist change, and that's why it's so uncomfortable. Our minds actually interpret change as a threat and start to release hormones of fear, right? So change in itself is naturally a very uncomfortable thing for the human mind. Our minds aren't programmed to seek change naturally, right? So it's up to us to be able to consciously make the choice to change and be okay with the fact that, it's going to be uncomfortable. And when you think about where a lot of fear comes from to begin with, it really does come from the unknown. Most people have no idea what that next chapter of life looks like. And because it is the unknown, they decide to resist it as opposed to seek it. Most people tend to look at the unknown like it's something that's supposed to be scary, like it's supposed to be something that they're supposed to be afraid of, when in actuality, you have full control over how you perceive the unknown. The unknown doesn't have to be something that you're afraid of. Why can't it be something that excites you? In order to overcome these fears that are holding you back in certain areas of your life, whether it's, pursuing this new business idea, whether it's, trying to build new relationships, whether those are romantic relationships or business relationships, or even if it's just putting yourself out there, joining new communities, whatever it is that's holding you back to stepping into this life that you know that you want, you must first acknowledge that this fear exists. That really is the first step. Because as I touched on earlier in the video, there are so many people that have these fears within themselves, but they're unconscious to them. So you can't eliminate this issue before acknowledging the fact that there is a problem, right? There is something holding you back. There is a fear there, right? But I feel like a lot of people spend so much time feeling ashamed that these fears exist to begin with, that they put off actually correcting these fears, which would then get them to that next stage in life. It's okay that the fears exist. You don't need to dwell so much on the fact that you have these fears, because that's another trap that a lot of people fall into, right? They have these fears and they almost feel embarrassed, within themselves, when in actuality, you could be using all that time, effort, and energy into eliminating the fear and changing your perception of, whatever this fear is. It all begins in your imagination at the end of the day, right? You're stronger than you know. It just all begins with awareness. Just bring awareness to whatever it is in your mind that you want to change, and you can do so. Most people don't realize what the cost is of staying the same, what it is that you're sacrificing when you do stay the same. You're sacrificing time that could be put into, there's so much that you're leaving on the table when you allow these fears to direct your life and dictate what you do or don't do, right? It does take a lot of willpower in the beginning stages to be able to, again, make these choices and to act on these choices that you're making consciously. But once you overcome them, there's a great sense of satisfaction and pride that does come from it. You'll feel very proud of yourself, and you can allow yourself to thrive on that positive sense of accomplishment, right? And the best part is, it translates into all areas of life, right? Whether it be in business, health, relationships, whatever it is that is holding you back, whatever area that you're feeling fear in currently, once you're able to face these fears for what they are, you can do so in other areas of your life, right? Honestly, the best way that I like to put it is that the fear of staying the same must exceed the fear of change. That's what always gets me going, right? When I think about, how I spend my time, how I utilize my own energy, the intention is to always evolve. And if I am staying the same, that makes me feel extremely uncomfortable. So how can the fear of the unknown exceed that, right? So I really do encourage you to reflect on your own life and assess yourself honestly. Where has fear been holding you back, and why? And what is it truly that you're afraid of? Are you afraid to fail in front of your friends and family? Are you afraid to be rejected? Are you fear that the business won't succeed? Like, what is it? Once you identify this fear for what it actually is, it becomes so much easier to actually eliminate it. You have to uncover the fear before you can eliminate it, right? And you don't need to be afraid of that either, because you'll come to realize that it really isn't that deep. Like, truly, failure doesn't actually exist. In the case where, it doesn't work out in the way that you want it to, you're gonna find ways to move forward. And when you do move forward, so much courage and growth will come from that. And as I said, you'll be able to apply those same concepts into the next chapters of life, right? So failure doesn't actually exist. You need to change your perception of what failure means in your own mind. I know when I look back, one of the first businesses that I started was a sneaker reselling business. And man, I was really afraid to start that business because it was an expensive industry to get into. You're buying and selling like limited edition sneakers, right? So they cost a lot. Like even at like the retail cost, like you're spending like anywhere from like $200 to $300 for a pair of sneakers, and you don't know how fast the turnaround will be, like when you'll be able to sell them. And all the resources that I had acquired to be able to buy these shoes at the lowest price point possible were pretty expensive. So it was pretty intimidating to, get into the industry. But man, I moved forward and I learned so much during my time within that industry. And looking back, there were a lot of hurdles that I had to overcome, but I'm proud of myself for pushing through, although, I made some money, I lost a lot of money. I learned a lot about myself during that time. And as I said, I'm able to apply those same principles into the businesses that I'm currently running. So, if it's a new endeavor that you're trying to get into for whatever reason, you feel as though it's a good fit for you, and it's something that you could do very well, just go for it. Like, you literally have nothing to lose. And as I said, in the case where it doesn't work out in the way that you expected it to or the way that you want it to, you're going to learn so much about yourself within that pursuit. You're going to learn how to adjust. You're going to learn to be comfortable with discomfort. So that's what I always say, man. It's an abundance mindset. Don't focus so much on what won't happen or what you might lose. Think of all the things that there are to gain from overcoming whatever it is that's holding you back. You know what I'm saying? Same goes for another business that I was running back in that day too. I was running a drop shipping store right before the pandemic. Had its highs and lows. I think the most I did in revenue in a month was like 5K, which probably left me with like about 2K in profit. And during that time, like I was like over the moon, but again, there were a lot of highs, a lot of lows. Had to shut the store down because of the pandemic, but I learned so much about myself as an entrepreneur, learned so much about what it is that I actually want. Like, you gain a lot of clarity when you like eliminate these fears, right? Because a lot of times like people are afraid, but they don't even know what it is that they're afraid of. So if you just like move forward, you really do learn so much about yourself, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, right? Like areas in which you need to get better at, what your passions are, what you can do really well. So although I didn't make like a crazy amount of money with this drop shipping store, it came with a lot of headaches as well, I learned a lot about myself. So now, as I continue on my journey as an entrepreneur, I recognize first what's going to give me fulfillment, like what's going to make me excited, what it is that I'm like really good at. And I revealed so much about my character to myself, right? And of course, the fear of starting this YouTube channel. Before you put out that first video, you have an absurd amount of thoughts in regards to, is anybody going to watch? What are friends and family going to think? Will the channel just completely be a flop? But it does take a lot of willpower and strength to be able to overcome that doubt and just to move forward. And I'm grateful that I did, because although, some videos don't get as many views as you'd hope for them to, you understand the bigger picture and you continue to move forward anyways, because it's something that you're passionate about. It's something that you believe that you can do well. So whatever it is, whatever fear that you may be having, see it for what it is. Look at it in the face. Become intimate with the fear. Once you can get comfortable with it and you develop this skill, right, of being able to move forward regardless of the fears, life becomes so much more exciting and adventurous, because you're not focused on the lack within the unknown. You're focused on the beauty and the abundance that the unknown can provide for you, right? So life becomes so much more exciting. So I really do hope that you can start to embody this mindset, because if I'm capable, anyone is capable, right? So we're getting like really practical And if someone were to ask me, like, what is the first step to eliminating this fear, right? I would say visualize the positive outcome consistently, right? So if it's a business that you're trying to start, let's say it's a clothing brand that you're trying to start. You're trying to start a clothing brand, you visualize your Shopify store blowing up, you're getting notifications on your phone, you're getting people tagging you on Instagram, you're getting people congratulating you in person, just visualizing the positive outcome time and time again, and allowing that to be the driving force for your next series of actions. So visualize the positive outcome very consistently and get in the habit of doing so, okay? Next piece of advice I would give to someone is to start small. Take small actions to building a stronger sense of confidence, you know? Some people are afraid of, going to gyms where, other people are around. Again, this is just an example, and I hope that you can take the context within these examples and then apply them into whatever area of your life that you're feeling fear in. But, again, just going back to the example of someone who's afraid to go to a gym where, there are other people working out there, right? And you might be a beginner. Maybe you've never tried a pull-up before and you want to try doing some pull-ups, but you're afraid of how others might perceive you. Start small. Literally go up there and just do one. Just do one pull-up, right? So now that you've done that one, come back to the next day, try and do two, right? So start small. You don't need to have it all figured out right from the beginning. And I think that's what holds a lot of people back is they look at this goal or whatever it is as a destination and they see how far this destination really is, right? And they allow that to intimidate them and dictate whether or not they move forward. And I totally understand that because I've been in that position myself before, right? But just start small. Just focus on what's in front of you. Don't be so concerned about, how tall the mountain is, right? How far you are away from the goal, because then how can you find motivation in taking consistent action? I totally feel you. Next piece of advice I would give to you is just practicing mindfulness and meditation. I just cannot emphasize it enough. You need to understand what the fear is so you can conquer it, right? And meditation can help so much with that. When you are being still with your thoughts, observing your thoughts, you gain a lot of clarity on where these thoughts have come from, why they exist to begin with, what the influences behind these thoughts are. Meditation could be so helpful with that. Just taking the time to be with yourself and reflect, because, we make such an effort to make time for all the people around us, whether it's friends or family. But I do think that the average person struggles to make time for themselves, just to be with themselves, just to check in, how are they doing? How are you doing? How has your week been? Have I made the effort to be uncomfortable and to put myself in uncomfortable situations that would encourage my growth, right? So I would definitely highly encourage meditation and just mindful practices in general. And don't be afraid to, seek support, whether that's from a family member or a friend or a coach or a mentor. Ask questions, right? We're all blessed that we're in an era where online communities exist and you can find accountability partners or just groups of like-minded individuals who have similar aspirations for their lives. So seek support and be around that positivity. It goes such a long way. So then when you see that these other people are taking these wins, it just reaffirms what's possible, which will then help you eliminate that fear, right? There's a lot of fulfillment that comes from embracing the journey, So I really do encourage you, not to be so harsh on yourself. There's no point in dwelling on the fact that these fears exist. It's okay that they exist. Let them be. Become intimate with it, right? You're not the only person that has fears. You got to understand that. Maybe your fears are different than someone else's, but it's totally fine. It's not something that you need to feel so bad about, right? Which is what I feel is one of the primary hurdles in a lot of people's journeys, is that they don't want to face their fears for what they are because they feel so ashamed that they even have those fears. Be more compassionate with yourself. Seriously, it's not something you need to feel so bad about, man. Once you do overcome this fear that is holding you back from whatever it is that you want in life, it becomes so much easier and so much more natural. You don't have to try as hard. Just remember, you're exactly where you need to be, man. And celebrate the small wins. Whether that's waking up early, eating clean, going to the gym, whatever it is, celebrate those small wins, acknowledge them, be compassionate with yourself, And as you continue to develop a stronger relationship with yourself, everything becomes easier. So I challenge you to take action on what it is that I've talked about in this video, okay? One small step towards overcoming this fear, whether it's meditating tomorrow morning, whether it's going to the gym and doing a pull-up, whether it's talking to that girl or guy that you've wanted to talk to for so long, step outside of your comfort zone and work towards overcoming that fear. You're gonna start sweating. You might sweat a little bit. It's gonna be uncomfortable, but that's good, right? Remember, as I alluded to before, the fear of staying the same must exceed the fear of change. Embrace it, man. So I encourage y'all to save this video, watch it back if you have to, and come back and comment on the video in the near future and share your progress. I'll look through the comments, you know what I'm saying? I'll get in touch with y'all and I'm rooting for you, okay? I think having accountability more than anything else has so much power. And when you're writing comments and you're talking about them with other people, it just reinforces what your intention is and forces you to become more accountable as a result. So remember, y'all, the best things in life often lie on the other side of fear, okay? Embrace change, step outside of your comfort zone, and watch your life transform as you transform yourself. If this video resonated with you, make sure you share it with someone who needs that extra ounce of motivation. You have the power to create the life that you desire. It's already within you. You just got to tap in. Don't let fear hold you back. Until next time, my people, let's keep pushing, stay motivated. It's KT. I'll see you on the next one.